Hey everybody. Okay, y'all tell me if y'all can't hear me. So we don't have to go through what we went through last week because that was a little bit crazy. How y'all doing today? I am doing just wonderful. It's a nice Sunday here in Ohio, and I want to welcome you to my show. My name is Kiki. I'm Kiki Loves Nigeria, and I am the host of this show. And on Kiki Loves Nigeria, we talk about things that impact our repat journeys, our expat journeys, our repat community, and our expat community. We also talk about travels to these countries, and what we experience on our different travels to these countries, because we all experience different things. But when we put our experiences together, when someone starts to look at our experiences, what I'm finding are that we all are having some type of shared experience, and we need to share this information to keep this community informed, because from what I've been seeing, traveling to another country to live or even just to visit can be very dangerous. It can be very dangerous, and it can be very costly, because not only was I researching what's going on here, but I've also been researching the scammers in our community. Okay. And the scammers in the community, that's another big issue. And from when you're not dealing with the scamming, trying to get your money or your property, it looks like you're dealing with somebody trying to hurt you physically for your money and your property, or even to, take away your freedom. Because as you see, when we were looking at the Stevenson brothers, they actually lost their freedom, over their property. So it's really important that we share these experiences, because this is what's going on not only in West Africa, but this is going on, it seems like all over, okay, where these different communities, where we are, this seems to be an issue. There seems to be some type of issue, either some scamming issue, or either there's some type of issue with uh, with people getting killed, people getting hurt, or people losing their freedom. So that's what we're going to talk about. We're going to continue talking about that. But I want to thank you for joining me tonight. I told you who I was. I told you what we're doing. What I normally do, I do qualitative research, and I research different issues that impact our community. Okay, this isn't so much as a qualitative research study, more as it is just really some informational study, just really sharing information. All right. Again, I use primary sources to get the information. I use videos. I use comments on the videos. I use online newspaper articles. I use many different sources to get this information. This issue, what's going on in the repack community. I've been researching this issue, man, probably, oh my God, over a year now. But I've just recently started researching about people being killed, because I had no idea people were being murdered, on their repat and expat journey. I had no idea that was going on. I had no idea people were being robbed. I had no idea people were being assaulted. I had no idea any of that was going on. Because, like I said, you get in your own world and you think that it's just, your experience, and then your experience is what it is. And really, it's much deeper than that. So how am I qualified to do this research? Well, to do research in general, because everybody can't do research. People think they can, but they really can't. You got to be trained how to do this. This is a skill, something you have to learn. All right. So I have a background in public administration, and I have a background in education administration, and that's where I get my skill to work, where I learned how to do qualitative and quantitative research. Right. Those fields are both built in heavily in research based data. So I'm used to doing research all the time. So I always, whenever I have a question about anything, the first thing I do is I turn to research. I turn to primary sources. I turn to anything where I can get the true fact, or ideal of what the true facts are. All right, so I've had various positions where I've done research, and I do extensive qualitative. So what are we talking about tonight? Oh my God, y'all. This story we're talking about tonight, this one was crazy. Every time I do one, I think it's crazy, right? While I'm reading it, I'm just like, this is crazy. And then the more I read, I'm like, this is crazy. And then I get another one, and I'm like, oh my God, this is even crazier. So the first couple stories you saw were about African American. The other story, third story was about a Latina. This story was about a white American. So I'm like, okay, what are you noticing here? And I said, I'm noticing that anybody can be a victim of this. Anyone can be taken advantage of, can be scammed, or anyone can be murdered, whether on their expat or their repat journey. Anyone, any one of us. It doesn't matter what color you are. It doesn't matter how old you are. Because look how young the Stevenson brothers are. And look what happened to them. So age is a non-factor. Race is a non-factor. The factor that I found to be common amongst all of these people were they were American. We were American. That was the common factor. That was the motivating factor behind all of this was the American dollar and what that American dollar had bought those people in that country. They were after the money. Like I always tell you, follow the money because it's always about the money. Like they taught me in school, it's always, always about the money. So Miss Cheryl, her name was Cheryl Lynn Hughes, and she was murdered in Panama. Let me see if I got questions. No. Okay, so if y'all got any questions, y'all just throw them in there, okay? Because this is a lot. Because y'all, this is unbelievable how many people got killed in this story, were murdered in this story. And I bet you've never heard of them. I bet you've never heard of them. And if you've heard of them, you heard a blink about it, and that was it. It just went away like the story never happened. All right, so again, where did I get my information from? Videos, online newspaper. So first we got to talk about where is Panama. Did you know Panama was one of the top 10 places that American and UK people are expatriating? Okay, some people are repatriating, but some people have roots there, and then some people are expatriating there. So Panama is in Central America, it's a country located in Central America. It's between Costa Rica and Colombia. People are going to Panama because it's a beautiful place. For one, it's got beautiful beaches. They said lush rainforest. The culture is vibrant. And also, the main factor is the relatively low cost of living. And that's usually the number one cost. Look why people are going to the Gambia. The low cost. Well, it used to be low cost of living. Well, that's what they said. The Gambia is very expensive to me. So they're saying that this place is relatively low cost of living. So people are going there. The locals are friendly, and Panama is a small country. It has about 4 million people there. So it's probably like about Gambia. But there's a difference in the climate. So you can go to different parts of Panama and you can experience different climates. So that's the draw, that's the attraction to Panama. One of the reasons, along with the cost of living, the other attraction is the climate. If you like rainforest, you can find that. If you like Caribbean beaches, you can find that. If you like farming land, you want to be a farmer, you can do that. If you like the city, like the urban area city, you can find that in Panama City. So basically, in Panama, you can find whatever you want, anything. So that's why people are attracted to Panama. All right. So you got to remember that along with the climate, there's also that my money can go a long way. So of course, Americans are going to run to Panama. All right. So let me see what else are they saying. So they're saying, I'm sorry, y'all. I don't want my face to be driving. So they're saying that Panama, this place we're talking about, it has 10 different places that are really popular with tourists. All right. The city we're going to talk about is called Boca del Torre. Forgive me if I pronounce wrong. So Boca del Torre, it's a province, and it's one of the largest province towns in Panama. In Panama, okay, it's located in like a group of islands, and it's like at the tip of the Caribbean Sea. It's a part of seven main islands. So remember, Panama itself is an island. All right. So then you got these islands off of Panama that belong to Panama. So that's where they live. That's where this expat community is living. And it's a part of seven main islands. And they describe this place as like a tropical paradise. They said it's stunning beaches. And what I seen, it was beautiful. Where Miss Cher lived was, oh my God, it was paradise. And to think that she could own a piece of that paradise, that was just really, really, really nice. Okay, so they said it has stunning beaches, lush rainforests, and according to the article, the Boca del Torre place was like the place to be. If you were as an expat, if you were coming to Panama, this was the place that you wanted to be. All right, so hold on, y'all. We got a comment. Oh yeah, this was story was really interesting, Steph. It was very interesting. Okay, hey Denise, how you doing? Thank you. So okay, y'all. If you got a question, remember just drop it. All right. So let's talk about this expat community. Why was this expat community so popular? Well, you could pretty much go to Boca del Torre and you could really pretty much do whatever you wanted to do. All right. It was a place where hold on, y'all. I feel like I got something on my face. Y'all know that's going to bother me. So let me just try to get that situated. So this community, they said, is very active. This expat community is very active. It's very welcoming. They have plenty of opportunities for expats to get involved. So expats would get involved with each other. They would do things. They would have parties together. They would kick it together. They would form organizations. So it was really, like a little home away from home, but it was in Panama. All right. So they said they had plenty of activities for these expats to enjoy. They had surfing, they had scuba diving, they had so much for them to do. And remember, your money went a long way, and that was the key. You could do all of this with a small amount of money. But the drawbacks to Boca del Torre was it was isolated. All right. There were no big box stores, so you couldn't just go like to a Walmart. You couldn't just go get supplies like that. There were no movie theaters. There were no hospitals. There were no private hospitals. The resources were extremely limited. So now this is what they did. Now this is what a nice community this was. So the expat every week, well, I'm sorry, once a month, they would all get together and they would go to the next city over, which was a city called David. And they would go to this nearby city, and it took 4 hours to get there. So that was an 8-hour trip. But they all put their resources together and they would go on this trip to get their supplies from this other city called David. All right. So, if we got any questions? No, I don't think so. Let me tell you about the community, the members in the community. What tended to be the personality of the members in this community? Okay. So, let me put this on. This is a lot of reading. So this community was not just made up of Americans. It was just people from all over the world. It was locals, it was UK people, it was Australian people, it was all types of Westerners who had come to these to Boca Island to live. They liked Boca Island because they wanted to get away from the hustle and the bustle of Western life and also from Panama City. It was a simple life there. Like I said, it had now just imagine there was no movie theaters. There was really not much to do but interact with each other. The social life was the thing there. So everybody knew with each other. Everybody interacted with each other. Everybody went to each other's house for dinner. Everybody, it was just like a big, big family. All right. So most people who went there were going there for a quiet, this is how they described it in the interviews. They were looking for a quiet, simpler life. They were looking for something peaceful, something quiet. Others had retired. They wanted someplace where their money could go far and they could have like a little paradise. They could have a little piece of paradise. So that was the perfect place for those type of people. So to Cher, she was in her 50s by this time, and Cher, she was in her early 50s. This is what she wanted to do. She went to Boca del Torre. She fell in love with this place. She said, okay, I can make my money work here. I can have peace here. I don't have to worry about people bothering me. So she thought, because this community is connected, we all know each other. If something happens to me, everybody's going to know. And she was right about that. She was absolutely right about that. Because it's when it happened to her that things have changed. Because before Miss Cher had got killed, before he murdered her, this serial killer had murdered 3 more Americans. No, 4 Americans, y'all. 4 more Americans. But nobody was even looking for them. Nobody was even talking about them. And they all knew these people. We're going to get to that. We're going to get to all of that. So, Miss Cher was really popular in this community. So, we're at that point. So, let's talk about who was Cheryl Hughes. Let's talk about her. So, Miss Cher, her name was Cheryl Lynn Hughes. And like I said, she was an American, and she decided she wanted to expat to Panama. She was single. She wanted to, she was tired of being here. She wanted something different. She wanted something warm. She wanted something beautiful. She wanted something peaceful. She had a little bit of money. So she said, let me go and make this money work for me. All right. So she goes to Panama. She had been missing for 4 months in 2021. In July of 2021, her remains were found in a shallow grave near a hotel. This hotel where she was found was run. Now remember, everybody knows each other by one of her friends. This friend was named Wild Bill. His real name was Adolf Cortez, and he's an American, and he was from Texas. Everybody involved here are Americans. Yes, that is the craziness in all of this. These were all Americans who were in Panama doing all of this. So, in July 2021, when they found Cher's body, they found 2 or more. At that time, they didn't even know because some of the remains had been broken down, had decomposed. They didn't even know how many bodies that were really there. So they knew 2 for sure, but the rest of them, they weren't sure. So they said it was 2 or more bodies that were found in makeshift graves. Hughes, Miss Cher, she was from suburban St. Louis, according to CNN, and she was like I said, she was in her early 50s. They could identify her remains because she had only been missing for 4 months. Now remember, she had been missing for 4 months. These other people had been missing for a long time because nobody looked for them. Nobody sounded the alarm. Nobody thought it was, suspicious that all of a sudden these people were gone. And I'm going to tell you why in the story in a few minutes. So her husband, unfortunately, he had to identify her body and so let's go to the story. So she was reported missing March the 20th. All right. So friends just all of a sudden, they didn't see her anymore. They didn't see her. They told the police. The police was not interested in doing it. They contacted the police. The police told them, well, people come here all the time to disappear. So how do we know she does not want to be found? How do we know that's not the case? Her friends and he was her husband by then. They got married when she got there. The husband. They got married when she got there, but they had separated. We're going to all get to that part. They go to the police. Nothing. They go to the Panama Attorney General's office. Nothing. They're all saying, well, she just wants to disappear, y'all. I'm sorry. She just wants to disappear. She just wants to disappear, right? This is what they're saying because this is what people do in Panama. People come to Panama and they want to start a new life. They leave their loved ones back in the States or wherever they're from, and they just start over. So this is what they're telling us. They even go as far as the Department of Judicial Investigation. No, no, nobody refused. Nobody refused. Everybody refused to take this case. Everybody refused to investigate. Everybody refused to even consider that this lady was missing, that Cher was missing. They all were saying she just left. Well, we're going to talk about why they were saying that too. They have proof that she had just left, had run off with some man, because that's what people do. We're going to do a story about this lady, a lady who did run off with a man, and he killed her. So that's what they're thinking, because that's what people do. That's what people do. They go to these ladies, they leave the United States, they find a man in another country, they run off with him, and they start a brand new life. So this is what they're saying is what Cher did. But Cher's friends are saying, no, Cher's not going to do that. For one, Cher's not going to leave her island. In the meantime, y'all, this lady has brought faults in the island. So they contact he wasn't a YouTube blogger, but he was a blogger. They contact him. He says he starts his own investigation. He starts looking into it. Then he finds out something just doesn't sound right. So when he found evidence that Wild Bill, Mr. Cortez, and his wife had purchased properties, not one property, but lots of properties and lots of businesses with cash from people who had mysteriously disappeared. Now, you heard me say people, not from just Cher, but from people. So Wild Bill and his wife were purchasing property. And these properties that they would purchase, the owners would just all of a sudden be gone. They would just disappear. Nobody would know what happened to them. So that was the first thing the blogger noticed. He was like, hold on, this doesn't sound right. All these people you buying land from, all these people you buying property from, they just all of a sudden disappearing. So that was his first clue. Something is not right. So, and also, this was another thing. He was buying these properties with cash. He would always say, people would always say, Cher's husband went to him and said, he said Cher sold her his property also. Okay. He went to him and said, well, show me proof that Cher sold you the property. Because for one, remember, this is her husband. How can Cher sell anything without her husband's consent when they purchased this property together? She can't. She can't sell that property. And he knew it. So he went to him and he said, show me if she sold it to you, you should have proof. Well, he said, well, she sold it to me in cash. She showed it to me for cash. So I don't have proof. Every property, every business, that was the story. They sold it to him for cash. So, and again, not only did they sell it to him for cash, they was gone. People would just disappear. So this is again what made the reporter think, the blogger think something is wrong here. So he's the one who went to the authorities. When he went to the authorities, because he had been living in Panama, I think they said for over 30 years, he was like a reporter there. The authorities respected him. They respected his word. So he went to the Panamanian authorities and he asked them to please investigate this because something is wrong, okay? Something is wrong. So the authorities went to Hughes' house. Not Hughes, I'm sorry. They went to Wild Bill's house. They just said, okay, let's go to Wild Bill's house. Let's go talk to him and see what's up. Let's go just check his property out. Because again, all these properties, and these were nice houses. These were nice big properties. And all of a sudden the owners were gone He had no proof that they sold it to him. He said they were cash purchases. And all of a sudden, they're gone. The owners are gone. He owns the property. Every single one. Police like, okay, so let's go check it out. They go to his property. They start investigating, y'all. They find, that's when they found the body. They found 3 bodies at this other location. And they said they were all American expats. Think about that. That's 5 people. That's 5 people that this couple has killed. So the authorities believe, they made this announcement, that William and Gina Cortez, that was his real name, had left a string of bodies behind. They found proof that they had got fake passports. So they were gone. When they heard that the police were coming, they left. They got these fake passports and they were out of there. Okay, so they left the country. So now we're at the point where the police are looking for them. So I see some comments. So let me go over here and see what comments we got. Yeah, this story was really kind. Yeah. Oh my goodness. Yeah, this story was crazy, y'all. Hey Kiki. Hey Steph. Thank you for your feedback, Steph. Uh, yeah, this was crazy. This was really crazy. This was, and it's gonna get crazier because when y'all find out who the people were that he killed, you're gonna be like, what? That's what I kept saying. Is what? It's just unreal. It was unreal. So come on, let's finish this. This was unreal. Unreal. So who is Wild Bill and his wife? That's the first thing. To see, when you look, this is one thing I noticed. When you look for these stories, you can't really find things about the people. You got to keep looking, and keep looking. You may find 1 or 2 sources, but you're not going to find a lot of information about these cases. And I said, wow, this has really got to be about dollars and cents, because how could people get murdered like this in another country? 5 people by a serial killer and his wife. And this isn't like something we all should know about this. These people should be household names. Cher should be a household name. A household name. Cher should be a warning for all repats, all expats, especially women who are out here trying to go to other countries, but we don't even know who she is. And to find her story, you got to dig deep to find out her story. So let's talk about Wild Bill and his wife. So locals say that Wild Bill and his wife moved to Boca del Toro. Guess what, y'all? Because they were wanted in the United States. Yeah. They were wanted by the law in the United States. They said the type of people, first off, they say the type of people who go to this island, this is how the police describe the people who go to this island. They either are wanted by the law in their country or they're unwanted by society. So that's the first thing. You don't want to go to a community where the police describe the people who live there like that. Now, let me describe that again. They said they were either wanted by the authorities in their country, the people who live on this island, or the society where they come from, had rejected them and no longer wanted them to be a part of that society. So they left and they came to Boca del Toro. The police describe the locals, not the locals, they describe the people who come to that island as those type of. That's the first sign. That is not a place where you want to be. To get to this island, this is another thing. You can only get there by boat. That's another thing. Do you really want to be on an island where the only way you can get there is by boat? Do you even want to be on an island? Think about that. Nobody can get to you. There's no stores there. There's nothing. You're just on this island with nothing. If your boat breaks down, if the boats in the community break down, that's it. That's all. You can't go nowhere. So this is the place where she was living. So again, this is the kind of place where this is how the police in Panama described this area. They said this place is the perfect, listen to this. They describe Boca del Torre as the perfect place to cover up, to quietly kill people and cover it up. Think about that. They describe this place as a place where the perfect place where you can quietly kill people and cover it up. So that's not the type of place you want to go to, people. That's a sign, honey. That is a sign that this is not the place to be. Yes, it's very scary. And what's even scarier is how this information is not like out there open. It should be out in the open for us just to go get this information freely. But it's not. It is not. You got to dig for this. You got to dig for it. You got to just keep searching and keep searching and keep searching. And it's all because they don't want to hurt the tourist dollar in these countries. These countries who we're talking about, they are dependent upon tourist dollars. If Americans, UK people, women get scared to go to these countries, guess what? That's going to impact the bottom line, and they don't want that. They don't want that. So what do? Well, we're just going to bury the story. We're just not going to talk about Cher. We're just not going to talk about Miss Salters. We're just not going to talk about Miss Mama Dia. We're just not going to talk about these people. We're not going to talk about any of this. We're not going to talk about the Stevenson brothers. We're not going to talk about any of this because this is going to make us look bad. So we're just going to bury these stories. And then you just come here at your risk because the State Department does warn you. They do warn you. You got to go look, but they tell you. That's why before I go to any country, I always look at what the State Department warnings say. You got to do that because basically you are traveling at your own risk. When they say don't go and you go, you're traveling at your own risk. When they say don't do something and you do something, that's your own risk, people. Because they know this is going on. And they know what's so sad is that they know these countries don't have the human resources or the economic resources that we have here in the United States. So they can't even really investigate the crime or fight the crime. You see, Mr. Winner, that was his name, the blogger, had to go and investigate the crime and turn over all the evidence to the police for anything to be done. Because they don't have the resources to do that. So again, when we go to these countries, yes, we are putting ourselves at risk. So let's talk about this serial killer couple who was also from the United States, who was on the run from the law. And see, that's a problem for me. How does that even happen? How are you wanted in the United States, but you get to go to another country? Because I know when I get my visa application, nobody ever asks me, are you wanted for a crime? They don't ask me that. They don't ever say, have you been convicted of a crime? They don't ever ask me that. None of them do. So I'm sure people aren't volunteering this information. I'm sure they're not. So it's probably a lot of criminals in other countries just living, just kicking it, committing crimes over there that we don't even know about because that country does not have enough human or economic resources to investigate their crimes. So let's continue. So they introduced themselves as Bill and Jane Cortez. They arrived in Boca del Torre in 2007. Remember, they were on the run from the police here, the authorities here. But they told everybody there they were entrepreneurs. Now, just think how many, when we think about the Gambia repat community, okay? I'm going to use them for example. Look at what those people tell us they do and what they used to do and who they say they are. How do we know that's true? We don't know that's true until you investigate those people. And once you investigate, you see that's not true. Those people aren't that. Once you investigate and see who these people really are, like we did, you saw these people were not who they said they were. And this seems to be a trend among expats and repats to lie about their identity, to lie about who they are and what they really are. So Wild Bill was doing the same thing, lying about who he was, and it seems to be a trend over there. So he's in Panama. He said he was a well-to-do entrepreneur, but he was really on the run from the legal system. He said he made his living in real estate. No, that was far from the truth. Now, how many lies we done heard from repacks in repack community? Same thing. Same thing. That's why I'm saying, people, pay attention. It's the environment, that whole repack. I got an expat community where I constantly need money to survive. And when people need money to survive, people will do anything. People will do anything when they get hungry. People will do anything. And that's what these community breeds when you don't have enough money and when you're ill prepared to take that journey. And we know Wild Bill and his wife were ill prepared to take the journey because they were on the run from the police. So you know they were ill prepared. They had to get out the country. They were just leaving. So, but from the beginning, the residents knew that it wasn't true because you can tell by people's behavior if they are who they say they are. That's usually what gives it away. Their mannerism, their social norms. Because people who are entrepreneurs, people who are successful in life, they have a certain mannerism, certain social behaviors that let you know, oh, these people are who they say they are. These people have money. These people do own real estate. Wild Bill and his wife were nothing like that. They said Wild Bill was known, okay, for carrying guns, for one. He was known for carrying guns, and he was known for having wild parties. Now, entrepreneurs, yeah, they'll have wild parties, okay, but these are upscale, classy parties. These were not upscale, classy parties. These were not those type of parties. And the rich people, entrepreneurs, they don't usually have the gun on them. They have people around them who have the gun. That's another thing. So these were all signs that something's not right. This man is not who he says he is. So that's why they gave him the name Wild Bill, because his behavior was just unpredictable. He was loud. He was rowdy. The parties would go on all night long. It was just a party, party, party. So they were like, this is just a wild dude. This is just Wild Bill. So one of the neighbors, her name was Sandy, she described him as this. She said he was loud, he was big, he was wild, but mostly he was just kind of ignored. So people just didn't pay any attention to him. He was just one of those people, those people who just want to be the life of the party. They want everybody to notice them. They want all the attention, so they do everything to get the attention constantly. He was that type of person. So she said he was loud, yeah, but people just basically ignored him. So according to Panamanian, Panama, Panamanian police, Wild Bill Cortez, whose real name was William Holbert, he confessed. Once they had finally caught him, he confessed to killing the people. He didn't even say he didn't do it. He didn't even say he didn't kill the 5 Americans. Can you believe that? He didn't say he didn't do it. He was actually really proud of it. He gave details about how he did it. We're going to get to that. The police say that he did that. He stole their homes, their businesses, and their money. So now we're going to get to the 5 people who he killed. A man named Michael Brown. He killed Mr. Brown's wife, and he killed Mr. Brown's teenage son. He also killed this man named Bo Eisler, and he killed Cheryl Lynn Hughes. Now we're going to talk about those people in a little more detail to help us understand how and why he killed those people. Exactly. But yes, we are all going to talk about it. Yes, because we have to talk about it. This is how things get to continue. This is how things continue in our community. This is how people continue to be hurt. This is how people continue to be taken advantage of. This is how women continue to be exploited. This is how women continue to be used because nobody is talking about it. And you got to talk about it. You got to talk about these things You got to bring these things to the light. So the Brown family, this was really interesting, y'all. Listen to the Brown family. The Brown family disappeared in 2007. 2007. These are the ones whose remains were really, they couldn't had a hard time identifying them. And right after they disappeared, the Cortezes, Wild Bill and his wife, they all of a sudden took over their property. They just took over their land. They took over, they renamed it the Hacienda Cortez. That was the name of it. So people didn't think much about it because, again, what did the police say it was? This is people who were wanted by the law, who are, or either they were unwanted by society. So the Browns were people who kind of kept to themselves. So when they disappeared, it was like, okay, well, maybe they didn't like it. People heard them complaining about, they didn't really like it there. They were tired of being there. So they just figured, okay, well, maybe they just left. Maybe they just said, okay, we're going to leave. So a lot of people didn't know the Browns like that, though. They weren't really out socializing like Cher was. Cher would go out in the community because remember, she was well known. Everybody knew Cher. But she would go out and she was a member of the community. So when she disappeared, it was a big deal because everybody was like, wait, where's Cher? How come she's not at the party? How come she's not here? How come she's not there? Even after her and her husband broke up, because they broke up, Cher still continued to go to parties, right? So for her to just disappear all of a sudden, people were like, no, that doesn't sound right. Cher's not going to just disappear like that. But the Browns, on the other hand, they did not participate in the community. They did not go to parties. They did not participate in expat events. So when they disappeared, they thought they left. People just figured, oh, okay, well, maybe they got tired of being here and they just left because they said people would just disappear. They would just leave all the time. All right. It turns out that Michael Brown, now listen to this man, Michael Brown, that disappeared, that wound up dead, one of the victims of the serial killer. Guess what he was? He was in the witness protection program. Can y'all believe that? He was in the witness protection program. That's why he was on Boca del Torre Island, him and his wife and the teenage son. That's why they were living there because they were being protected because the dad was involved with these drug dealers in the United States. And he testified against these big time drug dealers, okay? And the feds placed him, the United States placed them in the witness protection program. And they send you someplace where people don't know you. So they sent them to Panama, to this island to live. I am very serious, yes. So this was the people that they killed. So nobody's knowing about them because nobody knows them. Part of the program you got to keep to yourself. You got to stay on the low. So these people were on the low. Nobody knew who they were. Nobody knew they were missing. They contacted nobody back in the United States. They had no contact, no friends. So it was easy for him to take their house, kill all three of them, the wife, the husband, and the son. Kill all three of them. Bury all three of them in a shallow grave. Take over their property, live in their house, rename it the Hacienda Cortez, which means the big house Cortez, and just start living in it like it's nothing. Now that house, guess where that house was located? That house was across from Cher's house. Cher had an island. Cher owned an island. So from the Hacienda Cortez, where the Browns lived, you could look over and you could see Cher's house. You could see her island. So after Cortez, Wild Bill killed the Browns, I guess he sat there and thought, shoot, she's over there by herself. Her husband's not there anymore. Only person there is her and the dog. I can easily kill her, take over her island, I don't know if that's what he thought, but that's sure what he did, what he tried to do. So let's back up. Before he killed Cher, he killed another man named Bo Eisler. Bo Eisler owned an art gallery in Santa Fe, New Mexico. But again, he was also an expat, and he had increasingly became detached from his family in the United States. And see, that's something you really can't do. You can't just cut off all relationships with your people here, because if something happens, you're going to need them to help you fight, to help get you out, to help find you. Because that's what happened to Cher. Her family in the United States, her family, her friends, and her husband, they all worked together to get her out. Not to get her out, but to get her message, to get her story out there. Because nobody would listen. Nobody would listen to her husband who was there. Remember, they broke up for some reason. They didn't say in the story why they broke up, but they just broke up. For some reason, I think he was cheating on her, because after they broke up, he got involved with someone else. So he had got involved with someone else. She was on the island by herself. So it just seems like, you know, they weren't really paying attention to what he thought. They weren't really paying attention to her. He didn't know she had friends and family in the United States. He didn't know that even though the husband wasn't living there, they were still in contact with each other. They text each other every single day. So when she came up missing, unlike Bo Eisler and the Browns, who had just were not attached to anybody, Cher's disappearance was a big deal. So Mr. Eisler, but the difference also was Eisler had let everybody know he wanted to sell this house, right? He had let everybody know he was trying to get rid of the house. He did not want to live there anymore. He wanted, he wanted to just move on. So he let everybody know that. So guess what? The Cortezes, all of a sudden, the Cortezes tell their next door neighbor, Miss Sandy, because they all live near each other. He tells Miss Sandy in November, remember, he kills the Browns in 2007. He takes over their property. He owns the hacienda. He takes over 2009. He kills the Bo Eisler. Are we back? Am I frozen? Okay. No, I'm not frozen. Okay, y'all. Sorry about that. So he sells her. He tells Miss Sandy that someone sold him, Mr. Eisler sold him the property at a reduced price. Well, she said how much? He told her. She said she was surprised, right? Because she said now, if she knew he was going to sell it that low, she would have tried to buy the property, because she couldn't believe the price that he told her. Now, think about that. He got two properties. 2007, he got the hacienda. 2009, same story. But nobody's reporting nothing. Nobody's thinking nothing. Everybody's thinking, oh, okay, maybe these people left. Oh, okay, Bo Eisler sold his house. Maybe he got tired of selling it at that high rate. Maybe he felt like if he sell it at a cheaper rate, we can hear you. Okay, good. Maybe if we sell it at a cheaper rate, you know, we can get it off faster. That's what he's telling people. So he's telling me he bought the house at a cheaper rate. So here we are, 1 year later. This is greed, y'all. This is nothing but greed. Because see, the first year he waited 2 years. First time was two years. Next time, it got good to him, like my grandma would say. It got good to him. It got easy. Because this isn't even a year later. November 2009, he kills Bo, Mr. Eisler. March 2010, he kills Cher. That's only a couple of months, 6, 7 months later. Now this is what happens. You get greedy. The greed got to him. So all of a sudden in March, Cher's missing. Bo Ister done sold him his land. He gone. The Browns done sold him his land. He gone. Now all of a sudden, Cher's missing. Nobody know where Cher is. Everybody asking where's Cher. And then on top of that, Cher doesn't even take her dog. She loves her dog. The dog goes everywhere with Cher. Whenever Cher's on the boat, the dog's on the boat. Whenever Cher goes to the club, the dog goes. Well, you know the dog don't go inside the club, but you know how the dogs do in Africa. Not Africa. You know how they'll hang outside the club. Some of them they come inside. The cats sure enough do. But yeah, the dog's everywhere. So then you want to say Cher is gone, but Cher didn't take her dog? That doesn't sound right. So people are like something's wrong. So you know, Miss Sandy, that's the neighbor who's like noticing everything is going on. So she's like, something don't sound right because Cher's not going to sell her private island. Because remember, everybody else was living together. Cher, she had a private island. Nobody was on that island but her. That was all her island. So nobody, so her friend was like, she's not going to sell that. She loved that place. She wouldn't sell that to anybody. And then the husband, it was like, there's no way she would sell that because she loved that place. And number two, she can't sell it without me. How's she going to sell anything without me? So that was the second thing he was noticing. Yeah, this was crazy. This was a really crazy story, y'all. This one was wild. So she's on her private island. So he's telling her that she sold it to him. But they're like, no, that doesn't sound right. She's not going to do that. And then why would she leave her dog behind? Why would she sell you her island that she can't even sell legally because her and her husband have that island together? And then number two, why is she going to sell you the island and she's not going to take her dog with her? She's not going to just leave her dog. So Miss Sandy is like, no, this isn't right. So she gets with the husband. His name is Keith. She gets with Keith and she's like, Keith, this is not right. Something's not right. They go to the police. The police don't do nothing. The police do nothing. Okay? Nothing. Because again, the police said this is the type of place where people just disappear. Just disappear. So they still trying to get to the police. Nothing's happening. Nothing is happening. So Cher's island, let me tell you about her island. Her island was so remote that it took 45 minutes by boat ride to get to her island. All right. So this is how isolated she was living. For one, there's nothing wrong with it if you like living like that, but I could not imagine myself doing that. Never, ever. 45 minutes for the people on the main Boca del Torre island. And then there's a little piece that she lived on that was all her island. And to get to that island, it took 45 minutes. All right, that's how remote this was. And that's just a little too remote, y'all. You got to be careful. You got to be careful. And like I said, and across from her, staring at her every night was this serial killer, and she didn't even know it because I'm sure she kept the lights on because she's thinking, oh, I'm in here. I'm on my island by myself. Nobody lives on this island but me. There's no other houses. I can leave the lights on because when I saw the house, the windows was open. There wasn't even curtains. There was no curtains. It was like she used the natural sunlight. So just imagine this dude, Wild Bill, the serial killer, he's sitting across the island, staring at her every night, plotting on how he gonna get this woman's land, how he gonna kill her, what lie he gonna tell to get her land. So across the water was Cortez, is where Cortez and his wife lived. And the property, listen, that they had claimed they bought from the Browns. Remember, they said they brought this hacienda from the Browns. They killed the Browns, remember? The Browns were in the witness protection program. The Browns had no attachments at home. The Browns had no attachments to the community. That's why I tell you, you got to have some kind of attachment there. You got to know some people there. You got to be attached to people there. Because look what happened to these people. And nobody even knows. This is 3 years later. The Browns were killed 3 years ago, and they still have not found them. Nobody's even looking for them at this point. Nobody, because Miss Cher is just missing. So they're not even looking for her. They're not even looking for Bo Icelander. What is his name? I'm sorry, I hate to mess up his name. Iceland. They're not even looking for Mr. Iceland. They're saying all these people, they want to be disappeared. They want to disappear. So they're not looking for nobody. All right. So now we're at the point where they still saying something's wrong. Something was going on. Okay. All these people are not selling them their land. Okay. So he's saying, he just flat out go to Wild Bill. And he asked him, did you kill my wife? He started laughing. He was like, no, I didn't kill your wife. He was like, so how are you saying that you own this property? He said, well, she sold it to me. He said, show me some proof. Again, he could not show him any proof. So Keith is really upset because Keith feel like we've been to dinner. He said they've been to dinner with these people. These people were their friends. Remember, they would hop on the boat, go over to their house and have dinner with them in the Browns' house. Because they've been living in the Browns' house for almost 3 years now. So they living in the Browns' house. They going over there having dinner with him, being best friends with him, going to his club, kicking it with him, thinking he cool, thinking he's cool. But all along, he counting their money. And he planning how he's going to get their property. As soon as the husband left, but who's to say? He could have, if the husband would have been there, I don't think the husband would have stopped him from doing what he had to do. Because what he had to do, what he wanted to do. Because remember, he had a gun. He was known for having guns. You're not even supposed to have guns on this island. No one is supposed to have guns, especially the type of guns he had. So he had a gun. He had guns. So he's not scared of two people and you have one gun. Two people can't do anything and you have one gun. So people saying, so the man, that's why he was upset. They said he said we knew this man for 2.5 years. Because remember, he killed the Browns in 2007 and took over their property. He killed Miss Cher in March 2010. So all this time, they're pretending to be friends. They're pretending to be friends. Pretending to be your helper. Pretending to be looking out. But he wasn't. He was planning on how to kill her, to get her property. All right, so let's see what comments we got. Right, make it right. It doesn't. You have to make it make sense. I always wanted to visit there. Yeah, you can visit, but you just got to be careful to all these places. You got to seriously be careful. Wouldn't it be me? No, I couldn't do remotely. I'm so scared. Folks think nothing will happen to. They don't to them because of. Yes, you can't think that. You can't go there with a sense of entitlement, thinking it's not going to happen to you. You cannot think that because that's exactly when you become a victim. That's exactly when you become a victim. It's when you think it cannot happen to you. Like I told y'all, when I was in Nigeria and I was walking around, just oblivious, like they're not kidnapping Americans every day who they can get a chance to kidnap. Like they're not kidnapping not wealthy Nigerians every day. Like they're not kidnapping anybody who they think they can get money for. But I'm walking around. Not only are they kidnapping you, they're assaulting you and they're robbing you. But I'm walking around oblivious. Ex telling me, don't be out here walking. Go straight back to the hotel room. Don't be doing that. Don't be out here doing like you in America and you just Sally Sue and you just kicking it. But no, not me. I am an American. Nobody's going to mess with me. I got a blue passport. I'm safe. Plus, I'm black like these people black. They don't care about that. They don't care about none of that. All they care about is you got access to dollars and we want those dollars. So I'm walking around oblivious. This dude come up to me trying to rob me. Trying to rob me. Trying to attack me. Because I'm oblivious, I want to take a walk. Places I know I shouldn't take walks at. All behind buildings and places ducked off, places where nobody's at. But I have that sense of entitlement. It ain't gonna happen to me, but it almost happened to me. And it was only by the grace of God that it didn't happen to me. Because when I turned the corner, he was running up on me to grab me. I think he was trying to grab me. I don't know what he was trying to do. But if you say, was he trying to grab you? Yeah, because why else are you running up on me? Why are you running behind me? Why are you trying to catch up with me? So I get to the front of the building. Thank God, guess what? The apartment manager, hotel, it was a bed and breakfast actually. He's standing right there. And he says, Kiki, good morning. What are you doing? What were you doing back there, Kiki? You shouldn't have been back there. No, but it was that false sense of entitlement. Thinking I'm sorry and it's not going to happen to me. When it can happen to you. And it will happen to you. You put yourself in that situation. It will happen to you every single time if you put yourself in that situation. Because that's just the way it is. Right? I remember, yeah, they were scared, y'all. They hadn't heard from me for days. They hadn't heard from me for days because something happened to the internet. They hadn't heard from me for days. That's why I'm telling you, you got to keep your family involved. Because if my family don't hear from me in days, oh, they going off. They going off. They was looking everywhere. They was looking on Facebook. They was looking in Messenger. And that's what you got to have. You got to have connection. You got to have your family involved like that. Because, man, it just get crazy in Nigeria. Remember when I told y'all the lady was trying to break into my room and I was in the room? Yeah. It was crazy. When you live off the grid, you are going to survive during natural. Right. Yes. You're as strong as your soul. Exactly. Oh my God, that is so true because that's what I always thought. What are you going to do? When they had those floods in Gambia, y'all just seen all those floods they have. What are you going to do? What will you do? They don't have, like we have here, the natural FEMA to come in and help rescue you. No, nobody's going to come rescue you. You are on your own. And I can't do it. I can't do it. I can't do it. Yeah, I know everybody was so worried. Everybody was so worried. That's why I always stay in touch with everybody because you got to. You got to stay in touch with them. You got to. You got to. Because that's how they know. Because that's how they knew something was wrong with Cher. Because her family hadn't heard from her. Her family and friends in the United States had not heard from her. And they was like, no, something wrong. She's not going to just disappear like that. And he was telling them, while Bill was saying, oh, that's our friend. We see her all the time. She met somebody new. She just ran off with a man. Now, if you would have told my family that, they would have been like, okay, but where the man? She would have told us about the man. We would have saw pictures of the man, or she would have told us about the man, or we would have heard something about the man. She's not just going to have a mysterious man, and all of a sudden her and the mysterious man is just gone together. No. And the texts, that's another thing. The text messages, they didn't sound like her. They were sending text messages, but it didn't sound like her. See, that was another thing. The first time I went to Nigeria, my friend I went with then, I was so tired. I hadn't texted my family in like, that's what you talking about, Denise. I remember, because y'all hadn't heard from me. I had got there, but they didn't know I had got there. I did not text people and say, I'm there. I didn't text nobody and say, I'm there. Okay. Because I was tired. I was sleepy and I was tired. And I told my friend, I said, just text for me and tell them that I'm there. My friend was like, no, I'm not going to do that because your family and friends know your lingo and the way you talk. And if someone else starts texting on your phone, that's going to make them suspicious. They're going to start calling the embassy and I'm going to get in trouble. So to avoid all that, you're going to have to text and say, I made it. So yeah, you got to do all that. Why I won't either. Yeah, right. It was crazy because that's what you got to have. That's why you got to keep your family involved. It's so dangerous when you just cut off your family and go to another country and never talk to them again and never see them again. I'm like, what the heck? Who does that? What if you need something? What if you get in trouble? What if something happens? What are you going to do? So they said, this is what they said. Her family and friends said he picked the wrong girl when he killed Cher. When he killed Cher, they said he picked the wrong girl. So again, the Boca Raton, Boca, I'm not Raton, Boca del Toro is where tourists and foreigners go to drift out of sight. They want to disappear. Like the Browns wanted to disappear. Bo Eisler said he was leaving. Okay. So Cher was the only one that did not say she was leaving. She was the only one who was happy there. So that's why Keith said people had no idea how many people loved Cher. They had no idea how many people cared about Cher. He said that Wild Bill just got greedy. Wild Bill had killed all those people and he still killed more people. And that's why he wanted to kill Cher. He got greedy and he picked somebody really special. And this is so sad. He said he picked somebody really special, somebody special to everybody. And even though he said they were separated, he still loved her very much and they stayed in regular contact. So they would contact each other several times a day. That's why he was like, well, if she met a new man, she would tell me she met a new man. There was no reason for her to keep that from me because he met somebody new. So it was no secret. She could have easily said, I got a new boyfriend and I'm going to go on a trip with him. That's why he said, no, you're lying. So Keith, the husband, he said he knew something was wrong. He said something was wrong. He said, even though he know a lot of people come here to disappear, he said Cher was not like that. He said in the last 3 to 4 text messages that he got from her didn't sound right. He said they just didn't sound right. He said they didn't sound like her. Like, remember my friend said, no, you got to text because they're going to know this is not your lingo. People talk a certain way. Like you guys can tell, like the way I write, the way I talk. You know when it's me and when it's not me. You'll be like, oh no, that don't sound like Kiki. Oh yeah, that sound like Kiki. Because you know. So this is the same thing. So they were like, no, something's wrong with these text messages. So Cher's husband and her friends, they got really concerned when they was getting these crazy text messages because they was like, this is not her. They continued contacting the police. Nothing. Nothing. All they kept getting was, this is Central America. People come here to be missing. That's all they was telling them. And the police would not look. They said they were not going to look because people come there to get missing. So what's the point? So again, Keith goes to this Wild Bill again, and he tells him, you killed my wife. Why did you kill my wife? Wild Bill keeps saying he's not. So the blogger in the meantime, y'all, he's still working on the case. So the blogger in the meantime, he helps Keith file this document in their court system where he officially accused Wild Bill of killing his wife. And that, not only that, they finally told the police. I don't know why they didn't tell the police this a long time ago, but they finally told the police that this man, Wild Bill, had an AK-47. Now, when they say he got an AK-47, the police are interested, right? The police are like, let's go to his house. Let's check this out. So the police go to his house. All right. People were all saying he keeps guns on his property. So they find this AK-47. When they get the AK-47, they found all these suspicious documents. They found passports that belonged to other people. They found fake passports. They found just strange things. They found credit cards. They found uh, on camera different things that didn't belong to them. They found Cher's credit card and they found her camera. That when they found that, the police was like, okay, we need to get some kind of warrant so we can check out his property. So they go check out the property. So Keith isn't thinking that Cher is dead this whole time. He's not thinking Cher, that this man actually killed Cher because, again, he was their friend. He was one of their friends. They went over his house several times. Cher and Wild Bill and Wild Bill's wife, they all kicked it together. So they were all friends. So when they found these IDs and these credit cards and these fake passports and information about these other people that were missing, that's when they start digging up bodies. They start digging up his land and they found bodies. And unfortunately, that's when they found Cher. They found Cher and her husband. He was so sad. He said the last thing he thought, when he did this, is that he would be identifying Cher's body and that she would be coming out of a hole in Wild Bill's backyard. So he even killed her and he would place these people in the backyard of his own property. Think about that. He's sleeping in a house with these bodies in the backyard. So Eisler, he killed Bo Eisler. He killed the Brown family. They were all found in the backyard. And he killed Cher. They were all found in his backyard. He said that Hobart, this is who he really was. William Hobart is his name. That he once owned a store. His name wasn't even Cortez for real. His real name was Hobart. William Reese, I think Hobart was his middle name. Okay, he said that he once owned a store in North Carolina. Now listen to this, y'all. Where he sold white supremacist paraphernalia. So this man was a white supremacist. Okay, he was a white supremacist. Okay, he owned a store where he sold white supremacy paraphernalia, and he also was discovered that he had nearly been on the run for 5 years. His name again was Hobart, was his last name. He had been sentenced to 20 days in jail in 2005. Now listen how sorry this person was for failure to pay child support. So this is the type of person that is living in this expat community around this person. He's a white supremacist, but he said he was, what did he say he was, y'all? He said he was an entrepreneur. He said he sold real estate. But in reality, when you check out his background, you find out, no, that was a complete lie. He doesn't pay his child support. He went to jail in 2005 for not paying child support. He spent 5 years on the run. And he was also a white supremacist, white supremacy drug, white supremacy paraphernalia. So rather than go to jail, Hobart and his wife went on the run. So he was on the run, y'all, for, this is sad. This man did not want to serve these 25 days in jail. 25 days in jail. He didn't want to serve it. So he's on the run for 25 days in jail. He pack up everything. He leave, him and his wife, they leave and they go to Panama and they become serial killers because he don't want to spend 25 days in jail because he failed to pay his child support. Wow. So they said the police also wanted to connect in the United States, wanted to question him in connection with several shady real estate schemes. So maybe he was trying to be a real estate agent, but he really wasn't. So he was wanted in at least 6 states. They don't say what for. But the one he was wanted for was that child support. Listen to this. It's the same person. After a high-speed chase in 2006, it appears that Hobart, Reese is her name, the wife. Hobart and Reese left the United States. Oh, they were in a high-speed chase with the police. That's right. They were in a high-speed chase with the police because remember they were wanted for all this other stuff. Listen to these people. This is why you got to be careful with the people you get involved with in these expat communities because you don't know who they are. They are not who they say they are. Many of these people on YouTube are not who they say they are. They make up these identities and they become who they say they are. But they are not those type of people. They are pretending for these lights and these cameras. But as soon as these lights and cameras go off, they go back to the filth that they really are. This man and his wife were filth. They were serial killers. So, look, they're on the run. They're running from the police in the police chase. I don't even know how they got out the country. This is crazy right here. So they on a high-speed chase. They get out the country. They go to Mexico first. So you know he's supposed to have all these warrants. How do he get out the country, y'all? I'm confused. They don't tell Mexican people at the border. I'm confused. He goes to Belize. He goes to Costa Rica. Oh, okay. It just came to me. He had a fake passport. That's how he did it. He got a fake passport. So he had a fake passport. Okay. So he goes to Mexico first, then he goes to Belize, then he goes to Costa Rica. He running all this time. So he gets to Boca del Torre, the place known where the criminals go to. So all these countries say they have opened their own investigations into this man because everywhere he goes, people tend to come up missing. So they've discovered these bodies. So they're looking for him. The wife is gone. Him and the wife got their fake passports and they're gone. So they've been gone for about a month and they've been looking all over Central America for them. So they finally find them and they're in this place called, they're on this city in the border of Costa Rica and Nicaragua. All right, so they capture them. His real name is William Hobart. And I think her name is Julie Reed. Okay, so when they arrested him, though, y'all, they said the strange thing was he was proud of what he had done. He told them he had Miss Cher come over to his house, pretended like he wanted to have dinner with her because that's what they did. You know, they was all friends. They got together to have dinner, and he shot her in the back of the head. She turned around. She didn't even see it coming. He shot her in the back of the head. She was still alive when he put her in the grave. Yes, he buried her alive. The other ones, same thing. Shot them all in the back of the head and buried them all alive. Well, I don't know if the other ones were alive, but I know Cher was. So that's what he confessed to the Panamanian officials. So by this time, they're looking to make sure there's no more bodies. So the family is complaining. I'm just going through this, make sure we got this right. So the family is complaining, right? They're saying that people don't know what's going on, that they did not know what was going on. Let me take these questions off. Oh, y'all look like we're going to get down early. This is the end. Okay. Yeah, you're sure would have been like, right. Exactly. Because that's how you got to be. Exactly. He's crazy. Yeah. Oh, let me make this big. He's crazy. Tell indeed went there to get lost. Yes, he did. He went there to get lost. He went there to get lost. She went there to start over, and he went there to get lost. Okay. So he said basically he killed all these people. He said that he was paid by some mafia people to kill all these people. All right, this is what he's saying. But he's delusional because the police did investigations and there was like, what mafia people are paying you to kill anybody? There's no mafia people out here paying you to kill anyone. So the mafia story just was not making too much sense. So they weren't buying the mafia story and they just said this man is really just a sick killer. He's just a sick serial killer. And what's even more disturbing is that these people said that there are workers who were working for him who have come up missing. So the police in Panama are still looking for missing people. Yeah, they're still looking for missing people who are looking for who works for him or who has some dealings with him. Because people who are in connection with him are just coming up missing. So Miss Sandy, the neighbor who knows everything, she said the police, remember, people in Ghana said the same thing, that the police don't even know what's going on half the time. They don't even know what is going on half the time. They don't know when somebody's missing. They don't know when somebody's coming up dead. They don't know any of that. They don't know any of that. They're not aware. They feel like the police are not aware of what's going on in their community. And then Miss Sandy says, people now, since this happened, people don't trust each other in that Panamanian community because they said people come there and they say they're somebody, but they're really somebody else. They say they come there to do one thing, but they really come for something else. This man was coming there. Wild Bill came there, said he was Wild William Cortez. He was not. He was William Hobart. He was a white supremacist. He was wanted in several states. He was on the run from the police. He had just outran the police, and he was there with a fake passport. How many other countries? Is this going on in the Gambia too? It's possible. It's quite possible. Is this going on in other places? I'm sure it is. I am sure it is. I am sure it is. So it's very important that you know who you're dealing with. It's very important from what I've seen from just these studies. It's very important that you know the culture that you're dealing with, that you be aware of those cultural norms, that you be aware of those cultural expectations, that you don't get lax, that you don't get comfortable, that you always remember somebody's watching you and somebody's looking at you as dollars and cents, not as a person, not as an expat, not as somebody on a spiritual journey. Because you see, Mama Dia was on a spiritual journey, but Nature Boy didn't care. He didn't care. He robbed her. I'm not going to say he robbed her, but he took advantage of her just like he took advantage of the next one. You see what he did to her? So it doesn't matter. You got to be careful. You got to be careful because the people you are dealing with usually do not care about you. So after they finally got her body back, he said, he cremated her. He took her ashes and he said he's going to spread them all over her island. So Keith is still, at the island. He still has the island. He's still in charge of, living on the island. But I don't know if he's still living there because that was 2017. So I don't know if he ever moved or, how he felt after living there. But shortly after the story, he stayed on the island. So that's all I have today, you guys, about a repack journey turning into an expat journey, turning into a nightmare. This was indeed a nightmare. Yeah. A serial killer? Who would have thought? A serial killer who's an American, who's in Panama, killing other Americans for their land and their money and their property, and got away with it all this time. So what do y'all think? Do y'all think they got away with it because it was a tourist place and they didn't care? They wanted to keep it on the hush because they didn't want to impact the tourist economy? Would y'all consider would you consider visiting Panama after this story? Would you consider living in Panama after this story? Would you consider any of that? So do you think this story, though, this was the thing that was most interesting I found out about the story. It's how the story was really buried to me. How this story, you have to really look to find it. So my question to you guys is, do you think they really buried this story? Do you think it was like, let's keep this story on the hush so we don't have to, it won't impact tourism here in Panama? Because like I said, Panama is a popular expat destination. It really is. It's a very popular expat destination. So do you think it was kept quiet because they didn't want to impact that tourist dollar, that almighty tourist dollar? We don't know. What do y'all think? Again, that's all I have tonight. Y'all can drop y'all comments in the comment section. Think about what we talked about and drop it in the comment section, and we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it. And I want to thank everybody for joining me tonight, for coming out with this afternoon, for spending your afternoon with me. I'm trying not to keep you guys on that long on Sundays because I know people got to go to work on Monday, like me. But I do want to make sure I spend some time with you guys because my schedule is really crazy. You know, I need to YouTube wants more time, but I really don't have more time right now. As my schedule, gets stable and not so busy, I could probably give it more time. But right now, you guys, please just be patient with me and just enjoy the time we do have together. That's what my grandma would say. Let's just enjoy the time we do have together because, again, my time is so limited. And if it takes me a while to get back to your comments, please forgive me because, again, I'm extremely, extremely busy right now. So that's all I have. Next week, we are going to talk about 2 teachers. Can you believe that? 2 teachers who went to the Bahamas and who were killed in the Bahamas. And this story was definitely by another serial killer. Yeah, another serial killer. And this story was definitely kept out of the media because they didn't want to impact the tourist economy in the Bahamas. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me. And I will see you guys next week. Have a good one. I'll see you guys later. Try to enjoy the rest of your day. Bye-bye.